Three, two, one, boom. And we are back with another episode of Socratic Gamers. This episode brought to you by Zenreal Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenrealclothingco.com or check out the free Zenreal radio playlist at zenrealclothingco.com as well. But on checkout, if you do pick up something, use SG Podcast for 20% off select items. Okay, so we are back with another episode. This had a little bit of technical difficulties prior to this one, but you know what? Life lesson, restart things. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of a tech update slash Last of Us 2 update. I haven't been playing it because I've been playing FF7 Remake, trying to finish that, but Vish has been playing it a lot. So Vish, give us an update. Where are you at?
Where?
Like,
what do you mean?
Like you said, you were like mostly gotten through the game. Like, this is our second time around, but you were saying you had mostly gotten through the game. And
that's what it feels like. Yeah, we're getting there. I don't know how much longer. Like, it's hard to say where I'm at without really spoiling it.
Oh, I see. Okay, I get what you're saying. So, all right, so we'll skip that. We'll just talk about the differences between the first game and this game. So you were saying, like, in our first attempt at recording this, you were saying that it's not broken up into chapters now, it's broken up into days?
It's a bit like that, yeah. So you start off at Jackson, and then it goes to Seattle, day one.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
How long is the game then? Did you look up how many days?
Again, I can't really go into it without really spoiling it.
Oh, really? Oh, or is it like? Oh, I get it. Is it sort of like?
Okay. I can tell you a little bit about, like, so far what I've seen. There are times you do go back in time too. So, because where the game starts off directly after where, like, what ended off in the first game.
Like directly after, like how they're driving away, and then
right in the beginning, yes, and then it jumps 4 years, and then we go back and forth to see what happened within those 4 years.
Interesting. Okay,
so there's
that's kind of cool.
Things that happen in the story that requires you to go back 3 years to see what happened, and then you go back to the normal time, present time, and then you go back again 3 years. Something that happened in between.
And is it pivotal to the story though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what you're making me assume right now, because the day count is they're like, you have 5 days to save her or something like that. Like, save this person.
It's not like that. It's just like it's
like a countdown kind of thing.
Not really a countdown. It's not really counting down anything. It's just like how many days you're going through this thing, right? In the process of your mission.
Okay, so basically this one is set out as a mission?
Something like that, yeah. She's full on rage right now, so yeah.
Full on rage, like where you are, or throughout the whole story?
Well, throughout, like, when you hit Seattle.
Okay. I'm kind of putting it together in my own head, but okay.
Yeah.
So, well, you don't want to spoil it because I'm gonna play it eventually, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I do want to get your impressions without any
spoiler.
Or just other distractions that have been out there with the spoilers that were leaked a while ago, and people's reaction to it after this game was released.
Oh, but is the game better or worse than the first one? Let's go like story-wise and gameplay-wise.
Story-wise, it is very much more. It's different in the sense it's like a movie, more like a show, more like really getting into like the books and stuff. Like it's really involves all those kind of things. Like I heard that from a reviewer, and I kind of agree with that.
Okay.
It is not.
It's more cinematic, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's much more. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah,
That's kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's different from the first one.
Whereas
In
the
that
first one,
way.
it was like you were learning about the world, trying to survive. Now this one's more about telling you a specific story from that world.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like in the first one, you were trying to get like the lay of the land, but in this
Hmm.
one, we already kind of know what's going on. Like we get the environment, so it's more about
Yeah,
like the interplay
I
of a
can say.
relationship.
Yeah, and I can say it. The relationship between Ellie and Joel. Uh, it's basically what happens right after when Ellie had asked Joel,
Like, did you?
"Did you tell me the truth?" Right.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
that is the what. So basically, that's why they call this game Part Two, because it's not like number two in that sense. It is right after that event, so it's a Part Two of that. So you can say the first game was Part One, and this is Part Two.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of cool. Are all the characters still around? Like the brother?
Yeah. So when you're, I can tell the beginning, I guess, which is like you're in community in Jackson, and that's yeah, you're there with Joel, Tommy, all those people, yeah, and then other new people that you meet
So
in the game.
did they? They didn't film this right after the last one, right? Like they wrote the story.
Yeah, they wrote the story. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the benefit of like, because I was just thinking like, how do you keep them young in like? But I
Keep
was like,
them.
oh yeah, it's like CGI, so it's like you can do whatever
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, totally. Oh, that's so fascinating.
yeah. You can do that in video games. Yeah,
Which
yeah,
you can't because it's like, how did you? Because I like, for me, if you were gonna film part two, you would have had to know part two was there, so that the actors
yeah,
don't look too old. You know.
yeah. But this is again, yeah. So like when you do the whole 2 years back and or 3 years back in as you play the game, it's like you're seeing younger Ellie and older yeah Ellie older Ellie. Sorry, I'm mixing
Interesting.
up Joel and Ellie together.
Do
But yeah,
do do you get to see Ellie's mom? Like, was that actually Ellie's mom? The one in the trailer, and everyone was like assuming. Oh.
um, I don't want to say anything about that.
Okay, okay, makes sense. Um, okay, what do you think about the gameplay? Better, worse?
I like the gameplay. It's the funny thing is they've added a jump button, so there's a lot of like maneuvering around. The maps are much more bigger, so you're
Really? Okay, cool.
yeah. So even though it's again a linear story, it is also feels open worldish.
But like a jump button, sort of like Uncharted kind of jump button,
A little bit, but it's much more like
fluid.
uh, somewhat, I guess.
Okay,
Maybe
interesting.
so. I think it's similar. Yeah, it's similar.
What about the combat system? Are you a fan of it?
It's much more brutal, but yeah, I'm a fan of it. Yeah,
Is
I've
it
died already many times,
d-
but yeah.
does it do like the same kind of like pausing system? You know how like if you pull up your backpack and then like you know
Yeah,
it'll
but
you can
it's
like
not
craft and
pausing. It's not pausing the world, right?
no oh yeah, yeah, right. I'm getting it mixed up with Final Fantasy 7 because in Final Fantasy 7 when you're doing
Yeah,
magic
it
it like
pauses.
slows down. Yeah, it like
Yeah,
slows it down, but
yeah. So it doesn't slow anything down when you're opening up your backpack and crafting something. Everything's still happening around you real time.
right. It's is the clicker thing like a big issue still?
But they're still there. Yeah.
Okay, but like remember in the first one it's like there are all these like clickers and then you have to like you have to go through a whole base where there's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
ridden with clickers, you know.
yeah. So generally, yes, there are areas where there would be runners or clickers, and there's some new ones too.
Hmm.
Um, those are generally inside of buildings, so that's why that makes it much more scarier.
Right, okay, makes sense.
So, and then there's also a lot of people, and
are
those are the ones that are.
so I was gonna be my next question, are the people worse like than the clickers like in the first game, how it's like you kind of got to worry more about them than the actual like virus itself.
Uh, yes. You mean the infected ones? Yeah.
No, no,
Because
I mean, wait, by infected ones, do you mean like the virus people, like the
yeah, yeah,
clickers? Okay, yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because the people are the ones that they roam around, right? And the clickers or the other ones that are the infected ones, they're much more easier to maneuver around,
yeah.
and
Right. Okay.
so uh, when you create noise again, it's the same as the first one. Then a bunch will come, right? So you
But
have to be.
like in terms of the story, remember like
Mhm.
how like you had to watch your back in the first game?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's still
If
going
you
on.
still
Like,
make noises, yeah, if you still make noises, they will.
no, no,
Like it's
I meant that metaphorically. Like, watch your back.
oh,
Like, the people are actually worse than the clickers because, like,
oh yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah.
those people that like hunted them down and like ate the humans and stuff, like carnivores.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. There are you end up meeting like two different factions of people.
Okay. So the not sort
Uh,
of like the Fireflies, like the first game.
yeah. So the Fireflies was only like one faction that we met, but this one has there's a really religious cult type of one, and
Okay.
something that's similar to the Fireflies.
Wow. So they're really like delving into fleshing out this this like world even more, eh?
Yes. So that's what I see in here. Yeah. That they really looked into the whole the story between the
Mm-hmm.
two characters and the world and the environment that has happened around them. They've really tried to make it much more real in that sense. Like, yeah.
It's funny how like the game's timing to now, you know,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
with the whole like
Pandemic.
COVID, yeah, pandemic thing, and then like this game's actually about a pandemic that like went awry, you know, like
Yeah.
right now we're afraid of like an invisible enemy, which is like COVID, but there it's like a more like tangible enemy, which is
Yeah.
like the clickers that are like infected humans, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny how like the nature of humans, like it really comes out in these times of stress because like you're
Hmm.
seeing these different people in Last of Us, just like, you know, like how would they react if there was a global pandemic that was way worse than what we're experiencing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Y- Yeah. How it does show it in there, like how, but you're really also more like what's happening now too is becoming more like closing the borders, becoming a bit more like focused on national versus like you know
Global, yeah,
world tra-
yeah, yeah,
globalism or something
totally, yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So it's like that with even smaller pockets, right? So the people that live in Jackson or the people that live in Seattle and the other cult community. So
So
it's very much that.
it's funny
Hmm.
because like if you look at the way the game is structured and like they're like closing themselves off, just like we're closing ourselves off. It's almost like back in the day when you had like castles, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh, we're just gonna fortify our castle and not let anyone in, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah, weird. Do you are there any political aspects in the game? Like, do they ever get into that? No.
There's nothing overtly. I don't think so.
Okay, so there's no like one faction that's trying to rule them all kind of thing.
Uh, well, I think they would all think they're doing the right thing, right?
Oh, really?
So
Okay, okay. So they present it like that. It's not like there's a clear enemy. It's more like they're all just in the gray.
yeah,
That's what I liked about the first game. Like, rather than making it so black and white, like everything was a shade of gray. You know, like even Joel wanting to like save Ellie at the end, it was like no, he just like cared for her, but she wanted like the greater good. You know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying like in this one too, even though there are different factions, it's like they're all they're all coming from the right place, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. It's difficult to really get into so much of it because it can be very spoilery.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I'll see whatever I can answer, whatever you I can try to go around it, I guess.
It's funny because like they're like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like what the game's presenting, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's not a fun game. In that sense.
Oh, interesting. It's not a fun game.
Yeah, it's not something you're gonna enjoy.
What?
In that sense, like how games supposed to bring happiness or something. It's not like that.
Interesting. So it's not like you can escape into this world. It's so like Final Fantasy VII is like you can escape into the world, you know, and like live in that world and stuff. But like
Yeah,
in Last of Us 2, you're saying that that world is something that you don't really escape from. It's more like you're escape to. You're just like i- enthralled by the
yeah. So,
story.
yeah, I mean, it depends on how much you can handle. Like, there were some reviewers saying like they would have to take breaks.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. And so now that people are playing it and it's like it's been out there now, are you seeing any differences in reviews rather than it being like 10 out of 10?
Uh, yeah,
Okay, like what?
because I think if people didn't know, if people are expecting one thing and it's not that, they wanted to go in a different direction. I think even Neil said that there's going to be a lot of hate around it.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's what I heard too. Like this other person was saying how when they played it, they were like the opening bit. They were like, "Oh man, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want it to go in that direction, but it went there."
Yeah, and that's the direction that I think I told that to you. It did make me tear up. So
Oh, that's what you meant.
yeah,
Okay. I'm all right. It's either like you know those moments where you're like overhyping it in your head. So then when you see
yeah,
it, you're
maybe.
like everyone's going off about this game, and then like I play it, and I'm like, oh, that's not that bad, because I was expecting like way
You
worse, you
would
know?
you would think worse. Yeah, I know that's the thing. Yeah, that's why I don't want to say anything. Like again, I did say too much, but it's like I would rather have you just go into it without knowing anything.
Right, right,
But hard to
okay.
do. It's very hard, very much hard to do.
But all right, so did they drop the ball? Is it like a Westworld kind of thing where you're watching it and you're like, what's going on, bro?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
haven't hit. I haven't hit so far. I haven't hit the end yet. So
Okay, so what you're saying right now is like it's more disturbing from where they chose to send the story versus like the story being trash.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay, that's kind of cool. Man, you made me want to play it so bad now, but like I'm like obsessed with finishing Final Fantasy 7. I'm at like 4 chapters left, which is about like maybe 2 or 3 more hours of gameplay.
yeah, yeah.
So might as well just get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Um, any any other any other things, takeaways that you'd like to talk about before shifting gears?
I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to ask. It's really hard to talk about the game other than like I'm enjoying the combat. It is, you know, you're doing the same thing as look scrounging for parts to build things, right?
Oh,
So
how's
that's
the rope thing in the swimming? Is it like sick?
it's pretty good, but it's not like it doesn't happen everywhere. Um,
Okay. So it's not like Last of Us where you can just swing on everything kind of thing, or like Spider Man.
no, it's more like used in sometimes like a
I mean, sorry, I
puzzle.
meant Uncharted, not Last of Us.
Okay, yeah, it's something sometimes used in a puzzle form if you're trying to get into a building. If
Okay,
there's
so
access this way,
it's not like a
yeah.
method of transportation.
Uh,
It's just like something you need.
yeah, in order to solve like, okay, how do I get into this building or
Okay,
this room?
okay,
So
that's cool.
sometimes it's available right there. It's just like how you use it. That's all. Like if you can problem solve the solution.
Okay, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I look forward to playing it. Hopefully soon, or rather than later. But you said
Yeah. Let's
it's
see.
only like 15 hours of gameplay.
Uh, I don't. Uh, I think it's more than that.
More than that.
But
Okay.
I have been doing more exploring,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
where you don't necessarily need to, in some areas. But I was just trying to get as much out of it as
Right.
possible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just want the story. So like, if the story's only 15 hours of gameplay, that's not that bad. Like Final Fantasy 7, I I
Yeah, I think
I thought it was gonna be like short, but it's like a full
right.
24-hour gameplay. I was like, oh man.
24 hour, probably longer than that.
Oh, they were saying like 24. Like you can beat it in like 24 to 35 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what they say. Because this can go longer. I don't know if it's exactly 15 hours or maybe 15 to 20, maybe. Depends on how fast you can play.
Okay.
But there's a lot to the story. That's why.
Interesting.
You can like rush through areas you don't even have to combat
Battle.
anywhere.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So
Are you do you think that they're going to do this just like the Last of Us, and then when the next gen comes out, they're just going to release a remastered version of Last of Us?
I think
The
that's yeah.
plan.
They'll probably have a remaster one for PS5. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So it's like following the same strategic path as the last game.
Yeah, because the last game also was released at the end
End
of
of
PS.
Yeah, and then they released the. That's the one I played. I didn't play the original one. I played like the remastered version.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. How long was that ago? Like 7 years?
7 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
I know.
Yeah, time really flies. Okay, I'm stoked for it. Yeah. All right. So Mixer, I just heard about this recently, and I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
my cousin's on it, and he was doing pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
but then they like shut it down, or no, they sold it to Facebook, and then
Yeah,
everyone started jumping ship. So he switched to Twitch now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But he told me it was
Um,
like because of like some potentially racist allegations, or I don't know. Like, do you know the story?
why Mixer went over, or what
Yeah,
Mixer?
like he was saying that like it went over, it got sold, but then people were jumping ship because one of the top execs was saying like they're like these are my slaves or whatever, and like I'm like, well, it makes sense, right? Like you're on there producing content for this program. So he was saying like these people producing content are my slaves, like the top exact.
Of Facebook or Mixer?
No, Mixer. And then that pissed other people off as well. So like on top of the Facebook thing, like this thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or this might be fake news. I don't know. That's what he said. So I was
I
like,
think
oh, that's
did
crazy.
hear. I think I did hear something like that, but I don't know if that's necessarily the reason
Why people are
they're.
jumping ship.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know if people want to go on Facebook gaming, right?
But I don't get like what is the whole Facebook gaming thing. Actually, I get where Facebook's coming from with this. So like I listened to Facebook versus Snapchat, and I was like,
Mm.
that's kind of weird. Like why would it be Facebook versus Snapchat? But then the podcast was about like how Facebook purchased Instagram, and then they used Instagram to copy Snapchat, which is what Instagram Stories is.
Right. Yeah.
So like this, and like Mark Zuckerberg, he's like all about stomping out the competition. So it kind of makes sense that you know you you want to jump on Mixer because you see it as a competitor for Twitch. So maybe you can make more money this way, or I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
or like more like avenues because you have like Facebook, Mixer, and Instagram now.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the eyes of Mixer, they were not growing as fast as Facebook was.
But like,
Facebook game.
but what a weird sell, like to, oh, Facebook
They wanted
game.
to get rid of it. They wanted to get rid of it.
Oh, okay. But
There
Facebook,
was no like money in it for them.
right. So it's like you have a great tech idea. Like it seems like every tech person, their dream is to create something and sell that piece of tech. You know what I mean? Like they're not really in it for the long haul. They're just like trying to make these like one-off apps that they hope gets bought. You know?
Not. I mean, that I would say that's more for like smaller ones. I wouldn't say necessarily like these big ones. If
Okay,
if
so
they're
that
successful in their own way, they would buy out others, right, to bring them into their situation. So like Facebook gaming was growing at a huge number versus Mixer. Mixer was not growing at all,
mhm,
and there was that they had to get rid of Mixer, so they just
sold
they
it. Yeah.
sold it to Facebook gaming.
No, but that's what I mean. It's like you created Mixer, and it's like, okay, this is a great platform, but like my dream, because it's not doing too well, is just like sell it off. You know,
Well,
like
yeah, yeah. It's not doing too
you
well.
don't intend to
Hmm.
like QR codes, for example, right? So it's like
Yeah.
you invent QR codes, and then rather than being like, okay, let me just continue to market this thing because there's obviously going to be like a cap to it. Why don't I just sell this technology? Do you get what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That's how I felt with the Mixer thing. It's like they create it. They've like, okay, we have a competitor to Twitch, but like the longevity, like we're just not into like keeping this afloat internally. Just like QR codes, it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So they just sold it to like Apple or whatever. The QR codes, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like Facebook Gaming would want them too because they're trying to increase who like their view count too because their main competition is Twitch, right?
Facebook gaming.
Yeah, Facebook Gaming.
It's well, I mean, Twitch is naturally the competition for everything because it's the biggest
They are the
online stream,
biggest.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so with that, so Mixer was completely independent from Facebook gaming.
Sorry, say that again.
The Mixer was completely independent from Facebook gaming. Like they had no, like they were like their own company.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
They're owned by Microsoft, right?
oh,
They're
I didn't know
technically
that.
Microsoft.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Mixer is with Microsoft. Yeah.
interesting. And then Facebook just wanted to expand its like online gaming
Well, yeah. I
like
mean, I
platform.
would say Mixer was looking to have a buyout, I guess. So that's what they did. And then Facebook Gaming, there was two big streamers that, if you remember last year, recently, Mixer,
Ninja.
Ninja, and Shroud.
Okay.
And Facebook Gaming wanted to continue their contract by adding double the money or something, and they decided not to continue with Facebook Gaming.
Oh, interesting.
So they Mixer had to buy them out, so they're free agents now
Wait, wait.
for 8 months.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They
Those.
didn't,
Yeah.
because of the contract. The original contract was with Mixer, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
wanted to continue their contract with adding more money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They so doubling the money, but they decided not to continue. So the numbers. What they say is like make I think um, Ninja made 30 million,
Okay.
Shroud made 20. So out of 8 months of being on Mixer, that's all.
But like that's pretty cool because like they're
Hmm.
standing on their laurels, I guess, because like they're like, okay, we just don't want to be a part of Facebook, even though you're offering us double the money.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
still not going to go with you.
yeah.
So they just went back to Twitch.
Well, right now, it seems like they might go back to Twitch, but we don't know. They haven't
They're
decided
like
where they're
free
going.
agents
They're
right
free
now.
agents. Yeah, they're free agents.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah. The when you can do that with your, it reminds me of like Dave Chappelle, you know. And
Hmm.
this company that I just listened to, like I keep promoting them because they're so impressive with their like brand story, is Patagonia. So like the
Hmm.
guy, it's like two cool stories. Is like the guy who invented Patagonia, he was rock climbing, and then actually the North Face and Patagonia, they have a similar origin. So like
Hmm.
the guy who invented North Face, he wanted it as a means to make money so he can keep traveling, but then it became a job, so he just sold it. And then years later, I think his friend or him started Patagonia, so it's like within the same circle. You know what I'm saying? Of that
Yeah.
like original climbers. So Patagonia was already established, and they were making these like steel pegs for the wall,
Hmm.
and like they were. He noticed while climbing that it was defacing the wall, like rather than keeping it like he was like scarring it, right? Because every time you put steel, you break the rock, whatever. So
Yeah.
what they did was they stopped selling that right away, and then they're like, okay, let's make these environmentally sustainable ones, you know. But then the people on the team were like, yeah, but we could lose all our money. This is our biggest seller, and they're like, who cares, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like it reminds me of like Ninja and Dave Chappelle. It's pretty commendable to be able to do that. Like put the money aside, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So does it look like has there been any talks of like if they return to Twitch, will it be an X amount of deal of money or whatever?
That's probably what's happening. Talks.
Oh, but
Next.
nothing leaked or anything.
No. 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 Nothing yet.
Interesting.
Yeah, but a lot of people that are moving from Mixer to Twitch, it's also again a difficult grind because you're dealing with now more people
Yeah,
competing with more,
totally. Yeah, for sure,
so
for sure.
the growth will also be tougher.
Yeah, totally. And I know like that's what Arvel said he was dealing with too, because like it's so saturated, so it's more difficult to like build an audience on Twitch.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, fascinating stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah, okay. So in tech news, you said WWDC.
yeah. So Apple, they have their things in June, which is the WWDC. It's a worldwide developers conference, so about the next OS coming later this year.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, it'll be
Uh,
free though, right? Like another free
yeah,
update,
yeah,
and
yes, yeah.
like new. Well, hopefully my program will support it. My computer will support it. Cause like, is
Yeah,
this
I believe they've already released what can support their new Mac OS.
okay? Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Cause
Yeah.
that's one of the fears. You know, you hit this obsolete point where it's like, it technically isn't free. Cause then you have to purchase a new computer. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think I would say that Apple's the best at keeping their older devices still uh, in a longer life of updating.
Okay, that's cool.
They are. I would say they are the only ones. I've not experienced that well with either Windows or. I mean, I don't think there's anyone else, but yeah, or
Mm.
Android too. Like for phones at least.
Right, right,
Uh,
right. They
Apple is the best for keeping those older devices still active.
oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
but there's always a limit, right? So like how long? Generally, I think maybe 7 years or so. But yeah,
But it's interesting too because like even though it's not able to support the new operating system, the device is still workable, you know.
yeah,
Because I
yeah.
know like my like work computer is like a early 2012 Mac or something like that or 2008 Mac, but it's like working perfectly fine. Just can't run the new operating system, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Right. Yeah,
at least it's still working, you know. The old ones, I
yeah.
mean.
Working in that way, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But so what's the new update?
So,
What can we look forward
I
to?
guess I'll just say like a couple of things that I thought was look kind of interesting. So for like the iPhone, um, like widgets. Do you use the widgets on the iPhone?
What is probably not if I'm asking what is that, but
So widgets, you can put them on your home screen now, and which is kind of more preferable to me. So for instance, like for me checking weather, I don't have to go into the app; it'll just be on my home screen.
oh, that's cool. Okay.
And there's a pretty cool thing which is called Smart Stack, and it's like uh, it will change automatically the different um, widgets that will appear on the front based on the time or based on like when you check it. It'll learn that over the time you use the phone.
Hmm.
So like
Cool.
for instance, like in the morning, I always check the weather, so it'll show the weather. Then if I like in the afternoon or something, if I'm gonna be generally checking the stocks, so it'll automatically show the stocks without me actually having to go in it.
You know like people kind of forget about that, but I really like that feature, that predictive nature, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I find that like when I'm driving out, it's like it's already asking me like which of these locations are you planning to go to right now? And I'm like, "Oh, damn, how'd you know?"
yeah. So that just reminds me, like that is one of the ones too. It's like, oh, you're done work, so it'll tell you this is how long it's gonna take you. It'll give you on the map. It'll be like a widget of the map, and it'll show you like how long it'll take you to get home or something like that. Will appear. So that those are like that's like one thing I talked about, but there's many other things that they're bringing to the iPhone. But that's something that I found kind of interesting to me.
It's
Uh, yeah,
we're becoming super like dependent on technology to the point like the convenience for this idea is amazing, but like we're becoming so dependent that it's so funny when like the internet goes out. Like how before when we were trying to start this podcast, it's like,
yeah,
dude, hold on, you gotta wait. Like I gotta restart the internet, and you feel like you're back in like cave times, you know, and
right.
you because you have like these like black screens looking at you or black mirrors, and like you can't even use them. They're just like blocks of metal, you know. But
Hmm.
with a little bit of power, they become like amazing, you know. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it makes you realize how dependent you are on electricity,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? So yeah. So
This is
what
another one.
else?
This is another one I liked. So this is in like when you have group chats. The so the thing with what do you call? We use WhatsApp a lot. So when you guys are having some conversations, but it'll just show up. I'm not like reading it right away, so it'll show up like so many messages, right?
Right.
But if there's a like how do you directly ask someone individually in the group a question, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So in iMessages, there's this thing coming in the group chats called mentions, where you can just mention the person, add the person's name, and then ask the question. So then only I will receive that message within
Right,
that group.
right. I get what you're saying. You know what's weird about like this iMessage thing, like what you're
Hmm.
explaining? It's almost like, but I mean like, okay, so remember like MSN back in the day was like super rudimentary,
Yeah.
and then now we have like text messages like
Yeah.
iMessage, and
Yeah.
then I'm using like one of the most common like programs for remote work is Slack. Have you heard of Slack?
Hmm.
And so
I'm not familiar with it, but yeah.
it basically it's like a chat room, and then you can
Okay.
do like you can have global chat rooms and then like micro chat rooms, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's like I can see iMessage and like WhatsApp that like it becoming that kind of standard now because like you just
Yeah.
described that to me like mentions on the side. I'm like, oh yeah, they have that in like Slack, right? But
Yeah.
like to input that into like regular messaging stuff,
Yes.
it's weird
Hmm.
how it's becoming like de facto standard, you know? Like people are like expecting this now.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the evolution of all these things, right? Like you the best things and you try to bring them where they fit, right?
Totally.
Uh,
And that's what's fascinating if you look at the past because it's like where we were developing it before, those things were revolutionary at that time, then they become the standard. And then,
yeah.
you know, but if you look at it from the snapshot of where we are, we're like, oh, like we have so much more to go. But then if you look at a snapshot of before, it's like, wow, we've come so far. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah. 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 If
like
you
tech,
take yeah
if you look at
one
like the
shot.
holistic approach, like the holistic
Hmm.
viewpoint of technology,
Hmm.
it's like, whoa, we've advanced, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And in the span of
Uh,
like what, like
mhm.
200, no, not even 200 years. It's like 93. The internet came out.
Yeah.
90.
Something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, like
Well, after the
30.
internet came out, everything it started to grow pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
because then you can share ideas faster, and then technology got faster, et cetera, et cetera. It's like yeah,
Hmm.
it's just fascinating to like if you look at it from that viewpoint, it's like wow, we like exploded so fast. Like this whole breakout thing that you're saying of like side message mentions, like wow, that's some intense functionality, you know. Even though
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
seems like so very basic now because we're used to it, but if you actually think about what goes into that, you know, it's like it's pretty impressive.
Well, I wouldn't say it's. I wouldn't know. I don't know if it's like it's. I mean, some people are used to it, but like there's a lot of people do not use those sort of things, right? I think majority of people don't.
I guess
And
totally, and that's why it's weird like using like the Slack program
yeah.
because I'm pretty versed in technology. I'm like I pick it up right away. I'm like, okay, I know what this is, blah blah blah, and I'm using it in a more efficient way than people who've been
Hmm.
using it for years because
Yeah.
they, like you said, it's like you don't understand the full capability of the functionality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that those are like there's many more, but that was something that kind of caught my eye.
Hmm.
Same thing is coming to like the iPad with all that stuff. Then they added like Scribble for the iPad, which is like you can write anywhere and it'll form into like a
A
text
word.
format of it.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was cool.
See, I
And
don't even
then
use those features right now, but imagine if I started using them, that'd be crazy. But I feel like I
yeah,
type faster than I write, though.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I guess it depends on, I don't know, what specific things you're doing, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and so the Mac, they did released or they revealed a new Mac operating system. Uh, the big thing with Macs, what they're doing, what they revealed is like over a 2 year transition, they are moving away from Intel.
What, Intel processors?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the significance of that?
So they're so all our iPhones and iPads, Apple makes their own chips,
Okay.
and they are going and making their own chips for the Macs now.
Oh,
Uh,
fascinating.
Apple Silicon. So everything. So that is the issue. A lot of the times, what happens is Apple wants something from Intel, but they can't reach that criteria that they have. For instance, better battery performance, better efficiency with the energy and everything. Right. In order to get all that, it you're dealing with another company called Intel,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they want to bring it in house. So this will make it when they make they're starting this year making the Apple Silicon,
Mm-hmm.
um, that everything within Apple will now be basically uh, all in house, right?
Hmm. That's pretty amazing because it's like you don't like it's like a very it's a very Apple thing to do, because they're very like
Yeah.
closed. So I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
surprised that they're still. I didn't even know about like the specs or like this Intel thing. You just told me about it, but like they're very like into controlling their supply chain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
and that just makes everything work better because it's
Yeah.
like a closed system versus an open system. Like an open system would be like Android or Windows because you can like any coder can go in, right? But like with Apple, there's like a review process,
Yeah.
for their apps. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Well,
so
I mean, Apple has now about more than 10 years experience in making chips because it was basically iPhone and iPad where they're learning from.
right, right, right.
So what they've seen from the beginning of CPU usage or the power of the CPU has been like 100 times from a decade ago, and the GPU, which is graphics, 1,000 times.
Isn't that
Uh,
fascinating though?
yeah.
It's like business is always evolving. It's
Hmm.
like you're like Intel, right? So you're like, okay, like we'll have this contract with Apple forever, and it's like, no, Apple just turned around and made their own chips.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. So like this is not the first transition for Apple. I was not here, or I was not really into Apple when they did their first transition, which was like from PowerPC to Intel.
okay,
That transition was there like many years ago now, and so this is their like big transition into within their own silicon, which was going to happen throughout the next 2 years. So,
interesting.
uh, yeah, which will yeah it'll be pretty impactful against Intel. They'll have a big issue with that.
And it's also
Lost.
it's also
Like
amazing how like it's like like Apple is like the epitome of a technology company. Like with
yeah,
things like
yeah.
this, it's like it's so technologically driven,
Hmm.
to control everything, and they've always been working towards that. Yeah. They're like like if you want to look at like how technology companies should operate, it's like this is the best in class.
Yeah, yeah. It
I
makes
find
sense.
because like
Yeah, it makes sense now because they had to learn, right? They had 10 years of experience in working with chips now,
totally, yeah.
and with that, they feel they are ready to do that to the max. So
And I'm sure it'll like turn out fine because like it'll run better because it's controlled internally. So it's like
yeah,
if it's not
yeah,
working, it's like, okay, make this chip faster, rather than being like you're waiting for your supplier to make their chip better. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, it's all in house. Yeah. So the other thing was like you can have uh, all the apps. So in the App Store, in the iPhone App Store, it's like, or or the iPad App Store, it's like you cannot run those on your Macs currently, unless they make one for the Macs, right? Because the processing that they're doing is under Intel.
Right. Okay.
So now with the new chips that Apple's making, all of it becomes uniform. So you can run iPad apps or games, for instance,
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I get what you're
on the Mac.
saying. Ah, fascinating.
So so that the I feel it's an interesting. It's not interesting. I think it's the right jump that they're going. It's just now we have to see if they can actually
Pull it off.
handle the power, yeah, and pull it off, yeah.
Actually, wait. Let's jump back to Last of Us because you reminded me because of like
Okay.
technology, um, like
Yeah.
like capacities and stuff. So I've been seeing a lot of this stuff talking about how the game makes your engine run so hard that it sounds like a fan, like the fan is going off. Did you
Yeah.
notice that?
Um, I do have headphones on, but I'm not hearing it that loud.
Okay, because like so many people were complaining about it. You know. Yeah.
I guess it depends on how dusty your thing is.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess the thing that they were saying is like the processing power is so high for this
Well,
game.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, of course. So it has to, like, the fan will go up because you're dealing with
Better graphics, more controls, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah. So in order then that creates a lot of energy and heat that the fan needs to be spinning fast enough to keep it cool.
Totally, totally. Yeah, yeah.
So that's why like bringing that to the PS5, especially with the graphic quality that's potentially to reach, that it's a big system because it's the big fan.
Right,
And
right, right.
with the bigger fan doesn't mean bigger noise, it means a quieter noise. Like less it should be more quieter. That's the
Right,
thing.
right. Because it's cooling. Like what you're using is cooling it more efficiently than a
Yeah,
smaller
yeah.
fan, which is gonna have to work harder.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny, like,
That's
oh yeah,
that's like, if you remember, like the Xbox I have there, the first the Xbox One. That's why they did a bigger design, because they were afraid of overheating. That the
right,
issue
right,
that
right, right.
they had that issue with Xbox 360.
Yeah, the red ring of death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why they designed it that way. And if
it's
you hear it, Xbox is pretty quiet, but
right.
it's a pretty big system. Yeah.
It's funny because I actually remember I actually had the red ring of death. Like we were
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. It's like, what's the rarity? Like it's got to be so rare to get this red ring, and it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
got it too. It's like, oh man, yeah,
Yeah. So that's why Xbox went in that direction, and so now, I mean, PS4 lasted pretty good for me. Or yeah, PS4. So just that's why it makes sense why it's going to be loud, especially with high graphic
Yeah,
fidelity.
especially because we're like at the end of the. But you would expect it to be loud if the game, like for me as a benchmark, if the system wasn't loud, then it's like if the fan wasn't loud, it's like then you're not reaching the capacity. You know, we're at the end of the lifespan of
Yeah.
the PlayStation. You should be
Right.
hitting max capacity now. Like show me what you can do. You
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
then at the end of like PS5's lifespan, the fan should be going off too because it's like, show me what you can do. You know,
Hmm.
this is your last game. Like, let's go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
So yeah,
yeah,
I've been using headphones, so I don't hear it.
that's
I'm
what I
pretty
was wondering
close
too.
to
I
it.
was like, if I use headphones, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't hear it. You know,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
but I find though with like when I'm playing Final Fantasy 7, like it gets pretty hot. Like because you know how like I have the PS4 in like the corner and it's kind of like
Hmm.
boxed in. So like
Yeah.
that corner gets kind of warm, you know? I'm like, "Oh, you're running pretty hard right now." But it makes sense cuz like the graphics in Final Fantasy 7 too are also like really up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
As long as
so
the
even though
cooling.
people yeah, yeah, totally. As long as it's cool,
Yeah.
it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when people get like cheesed about it, it's like, no, this should be happening. I think because like if it's not happening, it's like, well, what other untapped things are you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. I mean, that's consumers always complain about something. So
True,
yeah.
true. It's funny with well, two things. I was watching UFC last night, and between the rounds, they were icing down the fighters, and then it made me think of like the fans just now with like the, it's like okay, you're overheating, we gotta like bring you back down. Like humans work just like
That's yeah,
computers, right?
that's true. Yeah, I mean now with PCs you can do water cooling, right? So
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. It's funny how like cooling down the system is super important. Even in cars, right? Like you need coolant for your
yeah,
car.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Everything, yeah, everything has to have a certain. It cannot reach over. It can't go over certain like temperature
Yeah.
before it or it shuts down.
Yeah. Fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, fascinating. Like even with that, it's like yeah, if you're out in the desert, heat stroke, your body's gonna just shut down as well. You know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so what I'm excited about with the whole bringing Apple's chips internally, it's
Hmm.
like then you don't you lessen that risk because they're creating the chip specifically for the system.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like when you're creating the PlayStation, right? You aren't building all of the components. You're purchasing the components to build this system, right?
Yeah.
So when you have components that don't really work well,
Hmm.
or like are competing, they're not built for one specific purpose, then
Yeah.
it's like then you're always, you have to go to the slowest buffalo. If you get the
Yeah.
analogy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, the
Yeah.
processor's not that good, so we can't really make this game because the processor won't keep up with it, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're building it all internally, it's like, okay, let's just up the processor, because you are your own
Hmm.
supply chain at that point.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean that's why if you look at when they do benchmarks of iPhones and iPads, and they're pretty high on the top of the list compared to even if you like put an Android phone that has the top of the spec hardware that's in there, but it won't, or it just reaches what iPad is doing or the iPhone is doing in benchmark numbers. But generally, the iPhone and iPad are using, you can say like not necessarily current gen stuff, right?
Right. Right.
They
Right.
can they can use the most out of it because they have full control of the system.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
In other, it's also, in other words, it's also more money for Apple because they can spend less.
Right. 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 Yeah. No. Totally. 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 Yeah. But
Yeah.
also good because then it becomes like also you can earn more because it becomes like a exclusive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a
Yeah.
PlayStation exclusive, right? It's like a Apple exclusive now. So
Right.
like, if you
Right.
want this level of power, you know,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
have to buy this product. But it also makes me think about like programs, like Logic Pro X and Final Cut Pro X.
Yeah.
They're like Apple standards, like they're
Hmm.
built for Apple, right? So there's no
Yeah.
potential for fail, you know,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's meant for the system. It's sort of
Hmm.
like it's sort of like because I'm making more music lately, so like I'm really in this mindset. But like Ableton is like a different software, right? That's sort of like Logic Pro X, but
Yeah.
Logic Pro is more for Apple. But if I run Ableton, it's like there might be a bug because like it's not built in like
Yeah. Yeah.
with Apple
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
mind, you know?
Right.
Yeah. But again,
Hmm.
that's why like I say Apple is like the technology standard, like the epitome, because they've made it so closed, it's gonna work well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the reason that I liked Apple, and that's what I've been always looking for. Like when I first got the first Mac,
Yeah, totally, yeah.
and yeah, there are people out there that want, I guess, more of a freedom, I guess, of choice. But
I was
then that's what PC is for you, I
I
guess.
was also thinking about this last night too. It's like where I rely so heavily on my iPhone,
Yeah.
like that's like almost like my brain,
Hmm.
because like you
Hmm.
keep your notes in there, you can Google stuff really quickly, you can share things through your phone. But again, speaking on the amazingness of Apple, is like because of its ecosystem, that phone, which is the brain, is connected to other parts. Like I can airdrop to my, you know,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
Mac, and then I can run the same program
Mm-hmm.
like on my phone as I can on my computer, or like if I'm Googling something on my phone, it'll show up on my computer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to think about it from that perspective. It's like when people tell me that they're going to buy Windows, I'm like, why? Why are you going to buy Windows? You know,
Mm-hmm.
or like Android, why? What's the point?
Right.
And then all the people that are like, oh, I want to like have an open source thing. It's like, but you don't even create open source code, so why would you? Like, I get it for like a programmer, yeah, you program your own stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
for the novice consumer, it just doesn't
Yeah.
seem.
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't you go with Mac?
Right.
Yeah, we should be sponsored by Mac. I'm just saying that'd be cool.
Or Apple. Yeah.
Or Apple, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Is there any other system that you find competes well with Apple?
I mean, Google is doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, okay. There's that's actually a great example. Yeah, Google, but like they don't have the leadership, I would say, and they
But
don't.
they're limited to how much that the power of a individual device can do, right? There are also issues with bugs when you do it that way. If you're not running your whole thing,
Right,
like
right,
from
yeah,
right. If it's just running soft, like Google is doing it in the use of software, right?
yeah, totally, yeah.
So that's there, but they're also limited to what
Software
that
accepts
process.
that.
Yeah. There could be other bugs with that because when you do that, you're dealing like when you build it for Android, you have so many different types of hardware in a phone
Right, right,
that
right.
it's much more difficult to design for everyone or to be able to solve all the bugs for everyone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Actually, a great example about this that I was listening to Business Wars, Browser
Hmm.
Wars, and they were talking about like Netflix, not Netflix, sorry, Netscape, and I think Internet Explorer,
Yeah.
and and it's fascinating because like what you're saying. So like we take like browsers for granted, right?
Hmm.
Because you're like, okay, whatever, it's just, it doesn't matter, use Mozilla or use like Safari or use like Google Chrome, right? And people
Yeah.
swear by certain ones, right? but like but like we they specific like Apple specifically made Safari with the intention of it being used ubiquitously across the entire system.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
it's but like when they first came out, browsers had so many issues across different platforms because it's like you're trying to code it for this computer or like this software, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important to like, because like I'm sure people are wondering like, what's the point? What's the difference between other browsers?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you choose like Google Chrome over, you know, the Safari one?
Hmm. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
It I would say it just makes more sense if you're using Apple to use Safari because they will all
It's
work.
exactly, yeah, yeah. There's gonna be like
Yeah.
no bugs. But
Hmm.
one of the good things that I found with Google Chrome, like you were saying, like Google tries to keep its software like uniform, like
Yeah.
compatible across. So like if you log into Google Chrome with your Gmail, it can like paste all of the stuff that you already have. I had no idea about this. I was just like, when I was working at this other place, they were like, oh, you can just log into your work thing through
Yeah.
Google Chrome, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And he showed me, and I was like, "Well, I had no idea Google did this. They reskin everything how it is on one to the other ones. Like all
Yeah.
your
I mean, it's the
bookmarks are
same.
there, and like
Yeah.
you know."
But it's the same with the Safari. That's what
No,
they mean.
no, right, totally, totally. It's with Safari,
Yeah.
but like, is that with Mozilla Firefox?
With them, I'm not too sure how they do that.
No,
Yeah.
but like no, because like they don't have
But
the
it will go in that direction eventually. If they're not done it yet, you know.
true. Okay, yeah. But like, what about like Mozilla? it seems like if you're not a tech company with a browser, what's the point of having the browser?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
gone are the days of like having tech within one sector. You need to have your tech company stretch across all sectors.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
how Facebook and Instagram are one now. So like if I run a Facebook ad, like it also runs on Instagram. Like you need that like it it almost seems like archaic to have things separated. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It should be.
you need ecosystems.
Yeah, and uniform within the different
Yeah,
platforms that you use.
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's weird
I,
because it's like
I
all
feel like,
yeah.
yeah, no, I feel like the one, I would say that Apple may have pushed it in that direction, right? Then,
Everyone's copying now.
yeah, in some way. I mean, but everyone copies from each other anyways in different things. So,
Totally, yeah, yeah.
but like that's what I've always been looking for, like for a long time, which was like having an ecosystem of where it all runs properly on one thing, but it runs on other devices that I also use.
Totally, and
And
yeah.
Apple was at least the first one that I knew of at the time. So
But
uh,
they're still like paving the way. That's why I say like Apple is
yeah,
the
yeah,
epitome of a technology company. If you want to look at how a technology company should run, you should look at how Apple's doing it. You know,
mm-hmm.
even the way they stockpile the money. You know, they're rather than like investing, spending all their money, and then it's locked away, and then like they lose all of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but and then like because it happened to Steve Jobs, right? So like what I meant about the Google leadership is like you don't have a Steve Jobs like dictating, paving the way, like this is where we're going, you know? Like being like,
Right.
okay, make it as friendly as like one of the things that I find is like with Logic Pro 10 and Final Cut Pro 10, the reason or X, whatever you I call it 10. But if you want to use these programs, like Apple was all about like don't make it difficult for the end consumer to create. Just create.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like
Mm-hmm.
that's why like Ableton or like Fruity Loops is so difficult as opposed to like Logic Pro 10. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they're thinking. Yeah, Apple has been like the roots of it, or it was about user experience, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that's leadership, right? Like you need a
Mm-hmm.
firm leader to be like, no, it's all about the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve Jobs is like the man. Yeah. All right. So anything else before we wrap up? WWDC?
No, I think that was it. I was more. I was just more impressed with where, like, oh, well, the thing was, the one thing about the WWDC was normally it's an event that's done in on the stage with a lot of people
Oh
in the
yeah,
crowd.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
It was I would say one of the best ones done over the way they did the presentation over the internet over the web or whatever.
Was it like the
Uh,
PS5 one? Like the PlayStation one was similar to that? Like you could just YouTube it?
yeah, it was YouTubed, and it was it kept me engaged at least throughout the whole thing. So, and they were like showing off the campus
Oh, sick.
as they were going through the different like different locations of it and talking about different the
Sick.
specific things that they were working on. Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
where can you check it out? So YouTube, what would the thing be?
just Apple. Go to Apple's channel. It'll be there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I might check that out. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
With that being said, Apple is the best. Steve Jobs is a genius.
Okay.
Yeah. Just saying. All right. All right. Well, funny. All right. Final anecdote because I think this is kind of cool. So speaking of like simplicity, he got that from I think it was Buddhism. Like his whole Zen. It
Yeah.
was Zen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zen Buddhism. So his whole like design system of simplicity and not making it difficult for the end consumer, that was a philosophy carried over from like Zen Buddhism. So it's so
Yeah.
funny how like he went he spent his early years as like a vagabond, spiritual vagabond, looking for like these answers, and then he went back to society with like this new enlightened look on how we can consume technology, and that sparked the way for like where we are today.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like the Jesus of technology. Think about it. Think about it.
Well, there is a lot of references to that too, because he was kicked out and came back.
True.
Right? Like died and resurrected.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's like Superman too, because Superman also died and resurrected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Prophet Jobs. That's what we'll call him. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, till next time, pick up some tees and or accessories, zenroclothingco.com, or check out the free Zenro Radio, same website, but on checkout, if you decide to pick something up, use SG Podcast for 20% off select items. Till next time, Vish, take it easy.
Peace.